Indo-Aryan invasion of India. In recent years, some researchers claim that the Indo-Aryan and Indo-European speakers originated in India and expanded westward. In this video, we will discuss this theory and try to determine where the Indo-Aryan speakers originated. There are many links between the Indian and Iranian languages. When we talk about Indo-Aryan, we are talking about non-Munda and non-Dravidian languages spoken in India and the languages spoken in Iran. Many of the original inhabitants of India spoke Dravidian languages. The archaeological evidence does not support the view that the Vedic people originated in Central Asia. The Vedic hymns make it clear that the Aryans were illiterate, non-urban, non-maritime people lacking in political complexity. The Hurrians spoke a non-Ai language. They lived in Anatolia. Formerly, linguists suggested that the Hurrians were dominated by Indic speakers. Linguists of the IE languages were fond of this theory because some of the names for the earliest Indo-Aryan gods, chariots, and horsemanship are found in Hurrian. This made the Indo-Aryan domination of Hurrians a possibility and offered good support for an Anatolian origin for the Indo-European speakers. The Anatolian theory for the origins of Indo-European speakers was held in high regards until Bajort Kajol studied 500 Hurrian names and found that only 5 were Indo-Aryan sounding. This made it clear that the Ai people probably learned horsemanship from the Hurrians and not the other way around. Although Anatolia was probably not the home of the Indo-European speakers, Anatolia was probably the home of the Indo-Aryan speaking people. Over time, the Hittites defeated the Hatti and Kaska and other peoples belonging to the Hurrian and Mitanni kingdoms. These people were uprooted and forced into Iran. The loss of Anatolia to the Hittites by Hurrians, Kaska, and Mitannis probably forced these people to become nomads. In Iran, they probably formed a significant portion of the Proto-Aryan population. Here they met Iranian-speaking people who they may have practiced a hunter-gatherer existence. In this environment, the Iranians adopted aspects of Hurrian-Mitanni culture, especially the religion and use of Mitanni religious terms and chariot culture. The Iranian speakers began to adopt many cultural elements of the Hurrian-Mitannian nomads. The Iranians began to adopt the religion of these Anatolian nomads. It was elements from the Anatolian and Iranian religions which became Hinduism. The Iranians rarely used the S. As a result, Shindu became Hindu, and Hoama of Zin Avesta became Soma. Iranian speakers probably intermarried with the Kaska and Hurrian people, who were predominantly dark-skinned. Joining forces with the Mitannian Hurrian exiles, the Iranians attacked Dravidian and Austronesian-speaking people, who probably lived in walled cities. Today, most Dravidian speakers live in South India. There are islands of Dravidian-speaking populations outside South India that are surrounded by Indo-Aryan people in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, West Bengal, and Bihar. Other Dravidian-speaking communities are found in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and Yugoslavia. As the Iranian and Hurrian-Mitanni nomads became more powerful, they set out to establish their own empire in India. These nomadic groups used painted gray wear, PGW. They entered South Asia from the Iranian plateau. They established sites in Baluchistan before they entered Gujarat. In Gujarat, the Proto-Indo-Europeans met Dravidian-speaking people living in walled towns. These Dravidian people had migrated into the area as climatic conditions became more arid in the Indus Valley. The Dravidian-speaking people used black and red wear. Some of the dasas of the Vedic literature were Dravidians. The users of the black and red wear of Gujarat between 1700 and 1000 BC were in communication with the Dravidians of the Malwa culture. The black and red wear people of the Malwa culture occupied the Tapi Valley, Pravara, Godavari, and the Brahma valleys. According to Rahman, the beginning of the PGW phase has been extrapolated back to 1000 BC. During excavations in Haryana and Punjab dating after the decline of the Harappan civilization, the radiocarbon dates for painted grey ware are far too late to support an Indo-Aryan hypothesis for the founding of the Indus Valley civilization. Joshi has dated some painted grey ware back to 1300 BC in the Punjab. This suggests that the Indo-Aryan speakers probably entered India in two waves. A peaceful infiltration wave between 1300 and 1000 BC, and a wave of conquest after 1000 BC. This would explain the Vedic discussion of the Vedic people attacking walled cities inhabited by the Dasas, Dravidian speakers. Here on the Gangetic plain, we see the emergence of painted grey ware. The presence of painted grey ware points to the probable first contacts between the Dravidians and the Indo-Aryans. Most Indo-Aryans entered India around 1000 to 800 BC. This would explain why almost all of the dependable painted grey ware dates cluster around 800 to 350 BC. The appearance of the painted grey ware documents the beginning of the Indo-Aryan invasion. Because the first wave of Aryans probably entered India peacefully, before 1000 BC, there probably existed vast bilingualism in North India and other areas where Dravidian-speaking populations are found outside South India. The Aryans adopted many cultural elements from the indigenous Indian people. This was especially true of Dravidian gods like Vishnu, Krishna, and Shiva. Over time, the Aryan invaders began to unite their own gods and those of the Dravidian-speaking population. But they made sure to keep the Dravidian gods in a subservient role. For example, Krishna is often represented as driving the chariot of Arjuna. The fact that the Dravidian elements found in Sanskrit literature denote even the most basic aspects of life, parts of the body, and other culture terms indicates that when the Aryan tribes entered India, they were like children in civilization and the arts and sciences. Although the Aryans took much of their civilization from the Dravidian-speaking population, they continued to practice their own religion. This religion was reconstituted by the adoption of many of the Dravidian gods and religious practices. The Aryan invasion elite dominance model explains the existence of the Hurrian-Mitanni religious and horsemanship terms in Hindu civilization. These terms became part of an interlanguage phenomena when the Hurrian-Mitanni and Iranian speakers met in Iran and created the Proto-Indo-Aryan speaking population. Once the Aryan speakers crossed the Iranian plateau and moved their way into India, they came in contact with the Dravidian speaking population. At this time, we probably had the Aryan population speaking a mixed language made up of Hurrian-Mitanni and Iranian dialects, entering an area where Dravidian dialects were already being spoken. After hundreds of years of bilingualism, there developed an interlanguage phenomenon that became a permanent feature of the literate or elite segments of northern India after the Aryans took control of the area. The Aryans adopted many native terms, but due to their elite status, they imposed their religion on the locals. In summary, there was an Aryan invasion of India. The invaders came from Iran. The invaders spoke Iranian dialects, Elamite and Hurrian-Mitanni. The Iranians and Hurrians fused their religions into one religion that became Hinduism. The Aryans made painted grey ware. They entered India in two waves, a peaceful wave between 1300 to 1000 BC, and a violent wave of conquest between 1000 to 350 BC. The Indo-Aryan language spoken in India is an interlanguage. This language includes vocabulary and grammar from Iranian dialects, Hurrian-Mitanni, and the Dravidian languages. The Aryans invaded India. These Aryans control India today.